Silva calling from the Gulag. How's everyone doing?
How's it going, Patriot?
We are right now, but also kind of hopeful. We're watching Trump turn himself in on NTD, broadcast over the airwaves here in D.C. Good channel, sister media company to Epic Times. But yeah, we're just watching this travesty of justice play out, and you know, I'm in jail. My president is being booked. I'm oddly positive about all of this because I really feel like it's going to bite them in the butt in the end. Maybe not even in the end. Maybe in the next few days here. Who knows?
Right. His phone numbers go up and up. You know, he's got almost 240 million views for his Tucker interview last night that aired, while Fox News' debate had 12.8 million views. I think America and the world is speaking loud and clear.
We have been for a long time.
The Tucker interview has, according to NTD this evening, already reached over 200 million. They said 210. It will definitely keep growing especially after this. All day they've been saying, "Oh, Trump's going to turn himself in the afternoon," and then finally the word came out that it was going to happen at 7:30 at night. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a stroke of genius! He's turning himself in right during prime time. So we've had to deal with a lot of the insufferable media types smugly intoning that, oh, Trump has so many legal problems. It's like, yeah, dummy. They all seem to be happening at the exact same time at the beginning of the election, right when your chosen primary candidates are in position to supplant him. I mean, how dumb do you think we are? Everyone sees through this. Everyone knows that this is just a bunch of bureaucrats trying to decide who we get to vote for. It's only going to help them. This is going to unify America from the cell block to the C-suite. I'm telling you this right now.
I think you're right.
Yeah. We all see through that.
And I think, you know, if you haven't experienced what this is like, I would just ask you to imagine if you're walking down the street one day and it's a nice day and you're whistling because you're happy, and then you find yourself arrested, and the cop says that you're charged with public drunkenness, but you've never drank anything. So you go to the magistrate to try to straighten things out because you trust that the law is going to play in your favor. And you say, I was just whistling and I wasn't drunk. And the magistrate says, well, yeah, whistling is not a crime and this person wasn't drunk. So, officer, what's your motive for arresting this person for public drunkenness? And he'll say, well, we don't have a crime that suits what he did as criminal acts, but I believe that he was whistling in order to distract me from a bank robbery taking place. And the judge is like, well, this is indeed a terrible thing that just happened. Yeah, that would be terrible if he was distracting you from a bank robbery. But of course, it turns out that the bank robbery never took place. But because the judge thinks that this time it's different, he decides to go ahead with the case. And he tells you, don't worry, everything will come out in trial and you'll get a fair shake. At this point, you realize you're completely lost because you're being tried as an accessory of a crime that never took place. Your evidence is that you were doing something that was completely uncriminal. And the law they're charging you with has no applicability to what you were doing. There's no way you can defend yourself in that situation. There's no precedent. There's nothing you can do. Once the judge agrees with the premise that this time it's different, you're done. That's the end of it. There is no fair trial. And that's exactly what happened to all of us. That's what has been happening to everyone who's gone through these DC courts, and that's what's been happening to Trump up till now, and that's what's happening to him right now. He's being charged for breaking the law, that doesn't really address what he did. And in the end, it's all about attempts. Oh, well, you attempted to do this. You attempted to do this. Well, okay, that's great. Habeas corpus. Laws generally are charged for successful completion of a crime. Would that thing that he did were a crime in the first place, you could charge him had he had been successful. But that what he was doing was not illegal. Had he had been successful, that also would not have been a crime. But the premises for everything, it's complete fabrication on assumption. On top of fabrication, on top of some more assumption. Let's layer a couple more layers of that in there, and it's patently absurd. It's patently absurd, and there's no way you can get a fair trial once the judge thinks, well, yeah, maybe this works. Maybe this works.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a lot of circular speak. There's no real crime going to with as many crimes as you can in so much space.
Right. So, yeah, it's shocking. I mean, just watching the courthouse right now, and I mean, most of us here, we're saying this doesn't look like American football. I mean, and we've been saying that since we've been locked up. I mean, this is not how you treat Americans. What is really amazing to me is this is exactly the kind of stupid thing you would do if you wanted to make Trump relevant for 2024. If you wanted to make him irrelevant, you would have fined some of the protesters. You would have made fun of them for being sort of losers, and then you would have ignored Donald Trump for the rest of his day. And it would have been very hard for him to remain relevant in that case. But here we go. They're focusing all this attention on him in an attempt to destroy him, and it's only making him stronger, and it's only increasing his base of support. He has over 50% support in the primaries. Why are we even having presidential primary debate? Everyone on that stage last night, nobody watched it anyway. A bunch of awful rants. Their campaigns are done. There's no path. There's no path. When he has over 51%, there's no path to beating him. It doesn't matter if everyone coalesces around one candidate. You just don't have a path.
Right.
So all these people, they're ghouls. They're essentially ghouls. The political ghouls, hired hitmen, and cronies, waiting their turn, biding their time, hoping to think that this time, for sure, Trump is finished. And it's not true now. It won't be true next time. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Well, it's easy to see where the snakes are because they literally point themselves out.
Right. Yeah, like Chris Christie.
More sneaky, but a lot of these snakes here in D.C., they don't even try to hide it. They're like, yeah, look at me, I'm poisonous, and I will bite you.
Out in the open,
Yeah.
Make your choice.
Well, it's good. Yeah, the poisonous snakes in D.C. definitely have brighter colors. But we're seeing some real snakes in the grass come out of the woodwork right now. Why would anyone want to vote for a candidate who was basically chosen for them through this corrupt system? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think, a lot of Americans are tired of the status quo when it comes to politicians and the way they run the government and the way they don't really speak for us. They don't answer. They quit answering to us quite a long time ago. And at some point, everybody was too to pay attention to what was happening at the wheel. But somehow they stopped working for us. They started working for their own personal agendas. And, it's paying the price for that.
Yeah.
Hold on, Ron J's back.
What's going on, bro?
We would never ever support. We would never support Ron DeSantis ever. He said this is not about J6 and all that stupid stuff. Yes, it is. Those guys went out there to support America. We're not supporting Ron DeSantis at all.
No way.
Amen. Yeah. And how many of those candidates, they said they would pardon Trump. How many of those candidates would pardon the J6ers? And to most of them, it's like, we're radioactive. They don't want to touch us with a 10-foot pole. But, I mean, we're getting the same treatment here because they wanted to take out Trump. Right. That's the only reason why we're here. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't need to listen to anyone who says, who takes the establishment line on what happened on January 6th, because it's far more complicated than anyone can imagine, and it was definitely very much a setup. So.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of that footage is starting to come out as more and more trials are happening. So that footage is finally getting put on the record. And so we're starting to see a lot more of what they don't want us to see, but it's coming out.
Yeah, we definitely need more footage. There's a lot of footage I would love to see. A lot of us, myself included, we did not testify at our trials. So even though the case may be over or the hearing is over, the trial is over, there's a lot more story to tell.
Right.
And when we start telling those stories, a lot of people who think that they're covered because they were able to say a few things into a microphone that was taking a transcript, or in one case I have heard the judge actually falsified the transcript in a CYA. A lot of those people who think that they're covered by those actions, they're going to be proven fools.
Yeah, the truth is always going to come out. It may take a little while, but the truth will always come out. You can't hide in the dark forever.
Right. Yeah. And if you've been going along with this, I'm sorry, your role in history is set in stone. Yeah. You're an accomplice. You're an accomplice, a knowing accomplice. Like how can you not be suspicious of the DOJ's motives after all of this? And it started at the very beginning. Started at the very beginning of his administration, and has continued unabated. That's the only consistently true thing that we can see about this. It's the only pattern that we can recognize, and that is that the DOJ has constantly been trying to usurp the American system of government.
Right. And I think that's treason, right? Isn't that treason?
Oh, yeah. That's treason.
I really don't understand why more investigations haven't been done into the FBI and their role in all of this.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Because they absolutely interfered in our election.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reason why there haven't been more investigations is that the people that would be investigating them would be the FBI themselves. And we can't have that. It's the first thing he needs to do when he gets in office in 2025. Trump needs to establish an office of investigation, like an OIG, like an office of the Inspector General, but with teeth and claws if necessary. Just go full inquisitor on the FBI and the DOJ. Bring them all down, put them in chains, put them away.
Amen to that, brother.
Day one.
Well, thank you. We love you. And the phone's about to hang up on us, and we're using that bitch catches us, so we will be hearing you at 9 o'clock.
God bless you guys. See you then.
God bless you, Matt.
Bye.